hope that we will never find ourselves a victim of or witness to a crime. But if we were, how confident are we that we would correctly identify the perpetrator or even remember accurately exactly what happened?
My name's Graham Pike. I'm a Professor of Forensic Cognition here at the Open University's Department of Psychology. I teach and research in the area of forensic psychology with particular expertise in eyewitness memory. Eyewitness testimony is a particularly problematic area for several reasons. One of those reasons is the outcome of eyewitness testimony can be very important. That if an eyewitness misidentifies someone, then an innocent person can be sent to prison. One of the other problems with it is the difference between everyday cognition, so how our brains work in everyday situations, and how they work in the very special scenario of seeing a crime. So our everyday experience of how our mind works is usually quite positive. We recognise our family and friends without any problems. We remember what we're supposed to be doing. Our memories tend to work. It's only remembering quite difficult information we find problematic. But when it comes to a situation where you've seen somebody who's unfamiliar, for only a few seconds maybe, in a very stressful situation, in a scenario that's very unfamiliar to you, then we're not so good at being able to recognise that person. In fact, we're particularly bad, and we find it very difficult to remember the events. Even the order that they happened in can be something that we really struggle with. So eyewitnesses tend to make a lot of mistakes, but importantly, they don't realise that they're making them. Testing the reliability of eyewitness testimony is actually quite difficult. It's very hard to replicate exactly the situation that would happen in a court. For instance, what we can't do is commit really violent crimes in front of research participants because it would be unethical. We also can't introduce something called consequentiality. Now, that refers to the consequences of a decision that's taken. So the consequences in a court are really profound. What an eyewitness says can lead to somebody being convicted, to somebody walking free who committed a crime. There's no way really of replicating that in a research setting.
Graham worked with the Greater Manchester Police on a fascinating television series that explored the issues around eyewitness behaviour through experiments and by staging convincing mock crimes in front of a group of volunteers. The series, called Eyewitness, revealed some intriguing insights into how our memories work and some of the common errors that eyewitnesses can make.
As a demonstration of human memory, we actually showed a piece of kind of modern art to our eyewitnesses and asked them to describe it, asked them to say kind of what it reminded them of.
You could say it was fan-like in its shape.
You got like the spokes, it could be like a bicycle wheel.
A few weeks later, we then got them to draw from memory that piece of art. And what we found was that rather than replicate the piece of art, what the people tended to do was replicate what they'd said it looked like. So if the person had said, well, it kind of reminds me of a bicycle wheel, then what they drew was a bicycle wheel. So what they'd done was interpreted that piece of modern art as what it reminded them of, but then remembered it in terms of that. So not exactly how it looked, but what it reminded them of. And it was that they reproduced.
You'd given the picture.